I don't know how scary this is. I mean, it's true, in as much as I'm not lying or anything. But does it really mean that much? I don't know. A few years ago, 2008, I was stationed at Al Udeid AB in Qatar. My usual off-duty routine was to go up to the bra, a giant double canopy with a bunch of tables and benches under it, called the bra because of how it looked, play Fate on my laptop for a few hours, shoot the shit with some friends of mine, then go to bed around 10 or so. Well, on this night, they had set up a boxing ring in the bra and were having what amounted to an anyone can fight tournament. It was pretty loud and had attracted a huge crowd. So, I decided to find a quieter place to sit. I headed toward the chapel since they had a lounge, and I figured that would be a quiet place. The chapel was situated along a perimeter road. On the far side was a tall fence topped with barbed wire and a huge berm, essentially a wall of dirt. I saw a bright light on the other side of the fence, cresting the top of the beam. My first thought was headlights, but who would be driving around in the middle of the desert? I started to walk up the berm so I could see over the top of the fence. I realized I might be in a little trouble for climbing around on the berm. There was a nearby guard tower, but when I looked up there was nobody inside of it. The towers were in a series along the perimeter, about 250 meters apart. I did not see any activity in any of the nearby towers, so I ran up the berm. I figured if anyone said anything, I'd say some of my papers blew up there or something. When I crested the top of the berm, the light was brilliant, almost painful to look into. I could not make out anything for probably a click on either side. My job was supervising passenger unloading / loading and processing on the flight line. I'd been doing that for around 6 years when this happened, and I'd been on flight lines around the world, working with all different kinds of aircraft. I've never seen any kind of operation with lights like this, even on temporary landing strips. I realized that even if I could not see whoever or whatever was out there, they might be able to see me. So, I ran back down the berm. I was probably up there for about 2 minutes. I went in the chapel, and there were a couple of people emailing and chatting. I started to say something or ask one of them to come back outside with me and see it too, but I chickened out. I didn't want to be the UFO guy. I sure as hell did not want to spend any quality time with OSI. So, I made it look like I was looking for somebody who wasn't there, and then I left. I kept my ear open for anyone talking about seeing something unusual, but it seems I was the only one. So, here are my questions. 1. What the hell did I see? 2. Why were the guard towers unmanned that night? I went back 2 nights later. I pretended I was jogging, and every tower had at least 2 personnel assigned. 3. Was the whole boxing tournament thing designed to pull the maximum number of people to the bra in order to keep people away from the perimeter road? Normally, it's a popular spot for exercise, and the darker corners attract couples looking for privacy. 4. Finally, a long shot. Was anyone else at AUAB that night who might have seen it? I thought about posting this to forums, but I'm not really sure I want to attract too much attention or come off like some kind of weirdo. Nothing like this has ever happened to me before or since. I stayed in the Air Force another 4 years after this and separated without incident. Be May, 2001, stationed at Shaw AFB, outside Sumter, SC. Be EOD technician, out at Poinsett Range Clearing, known UXO. We had a shoe-tax and a pair of Mk-82 general-purpose bombs, 500-pounders, failed to detonate, Go out with team. Set up cameras to record disposable. Set charges and spool out. Watching detonation area. T Sergeant starts the count. Blast area clear. Blast area clear. Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole. Look up. See dude in the zone, wearing all green. Not BDUs. Fatigue looking greens. Yell. T Sergeant looks up. Sees him, but had already fired. Det cord zips out. Detonates. Hear this terrible scream, like cats fighting, amplified. Quick count. Nobody is missing from the team. Run down to the hole. Nothing there. No scraps. Nothing. For those of you who have never seen/been near a large explosion, there is always something left if a person gets it. Blood, parts, uniform components, something. Rollback tape. Audio picks up the screams. Nothing on video. Security forces go out. Search with dogs. Don't find shit. Everyone goes back and gets shit-faced. I was never more glad to leave a base than I was a year later when I PCS'd to Nellis. Never served in the military. Went on a creepy-ass hunting trip with a few of them once though. 17 years old. My dad, his 2 army friends, and my cousin was on leave. Go for a weekend retreat of hunting, fishing, and camping. Set up camp in the middle of a clearing, Virginia wilderness, if anyone cares. Finish setting up camp. Go to the stream and fish and discuss where to go exploring. Dusk approaches. We have this tradition of going for a nightly woods walk and try to scare each other with stories and such. Been doing it since we were kids. Not gonna lie, I was a little anxious, but also very serene. If you ever go for extended hikes into the wilderness, you know what feeling I'm talking about. One of Dad's friends goes to take a piss, says he will catch up. We walk for about 10 minutes, then realize we should stop and at least let him catch up. Another 5 minutes goes by. I'm a little worried, but my dad is cool. Trusts the guy completely and says how since he was a paratrooper, he knows the woods as good as a whorehouse. Few minutes after, he comes jogging out of the bushes, .357 revolver in hand. Says he was pissing and got the sense he was not alone. After he stopped, he waited, and sure enough, heard something in the leaves around him, circling him. Well, what was it? A bear? Mountain lion? Not sure. But if it was the biggest one living in these goddamn hills. Worried it might have followed him, so we head back to camp and don't see or hear anything. But get the, you're in my house now bitch vibe all the way back. Next morning, we decide to go exploring, with a few guns, just in case. See nothing odd, until we get within half a mile of the trail that we walked last night. Did not want to get too close, but we were also curious. Get the same being watched feeling again. Then after a few minutes, find the corpse of some animal. Whatever killed it, absolutely fucked it up. Jaw/head was broken, disemboweled, limbs missing, and scattered. Keep going north, finding dried blood splatter along the way. Get to the end of the tree line. After a bit of clearing is a cave, with some trees that at first glance appear to have fallen down around it. Friend's dad is like, hey Anam, go in it. I'm surrounded by gruff older military guys, and being the runt, I had to prove myself. Creep towards it. Every step, I realize this is probably a mistake, but I can't jump out. Get right in front of the cave. The trees in front appear to have been broken down like camouflage because all others around it are fine. Get that natural instinct telling you to just not do something, telling me not to set foot in that cave. Pick up a few rocks and start pelting them in there. Hear and kind of see something big shuffling around back there. Raise my rifle, but I'm convinced if I turn to run, it will bite my ass. Fire a quick round off, followed by the weirdest deep, guttural moan / roar I've ever heard. I've heard all kinds of animals in this forest, and this did not sound like any of them. If anything, it sounded like a messed up audio recording of a bunch of them and that raptor from Jurassic Park. Anon, back up to us, now. Look behind and see all of them, rifles raised. Grown-ass military men. Guys who have seen combat and probably killed people are looking pale and scared shitless, which scares the shit out of me. Run back. Feels like I have sand in my legs and I can't move fast enough, like a bad dream. We get in a single file line, don't say anything, and fast walk back to camp. Each of us head around in the chamber. Something was definitely following us. When you're that scared, your adrenaline gives you superpowers, and you hear, see, and smell things like you would not believe. See a big silhouette about 30 yards away, taking big strides alongside and then past us. If I had not been looking that way, I would have missed it. Heart skips into my throat. Tried to tell my cousin, but he's like, just keep going forward, forget it, in a panicky voice. Start tossing shit into the trucks, in no particular order. One of the guys took it upon himself to stand guard and just sort of marches around with a rifle. Get everything accounted for. Jump into the cars like clowns at a circus and go down a 30 miles per hour road doing 60. Get to our favorite diner we usually go to at the end of trips. Order lunch and sit silently. I get up to use the bathroom. See my dad and the friend that dared me to go into the cave out by the car. Dad is chewing his ass out for doing that and then says we don't say shit about this for the rest of the day, and especially not to the wives. Drive home. My cousin falls asleep. I pretend to, but really listen to them quietly mumble about what happened, because of course they're not going to not talk about it. Go around and say they've always heard rumors about stuff like this, but thought it was bullshit. Never go back to that spot again. Never go camping by myself ever again. Real shame, because I used to love doing that, but now I'll be damned if I'm not the slightest bit uneasy going into the woods. Was in the US Navy from 2008 to 2012. Served as an MM, basically a mechanic, on a Nimitz-class carrier. A Nimitz-class has 2 reactors, so it has 2 identical main machinery rooms, MMRs. An MMR has 2 ship's engines, 2 generators, and, well, just a whole bunch of huge equipment. My job is to take logs on said equipment and fix it when it is broken. So, when shit is up and running, we're working with some hot-ass steam, and hot water is sometimes running through the pipes. Well, a few months before I got on the ship was out to sea, and one of the check valves was clogged. So, the chief machinery operator, CMO on watch, decided to get down into the bilge to check what was going on. So, while everything is operating, he squeezes himself on his belly between a whole bunch of pipes and stanchions to take a look at the shit. Imagine wedging yourself into a tight-ass fucking area. Well, the CMO managed to unclog the check valve, and it started to pour out cool water all over him. Problem fucking fixed, but he is getting wet. So, he starts to try to scoot out the way he came, but the cool water quickly started getting hotter and hotter. The water, in a matter of seconds, started to dump out super hot boiling water and steam all over him while he was stuck. He was cooked alive while stuck in a mess of pipes and shit and could not get out. Died. Flesh melted the fuck off. Sorry, I had to give a little information on the situation. Anyway, I eventually get to the ship. Get qualified to stand a watch named Cold Iron Watch, CIW. It's when the ship is in port, the reactors are secured, and all the equipment is shut down, But they want one person down in the plant to just kind of roam around and keep an eye on things. So I get warned about the spookiness that has been going about. People tell me there is a fucking ghost down in the plant. It's the Tetsuya Mo fucking with shit. I did not fucking believe it. That is, until I started standing watch by myself in a dead silent plant. Walking around, you would hear lockers banging open and close. Tools would get knocked off of workbenches. You would hear footsteps on the deck plates above you. You would hear weird knocking sounds on the pipes. Your logs on a clipboard would be moved to another place if you left them somewhere. That's about it really. It was just an ongoing thing. The reason I mentioned the other identical plant was because no spooky shit ever happened in the other one. Just 2 MMR, and people would be spooked the hell out being down there by themselves. Iraq, 2006. We were standing guard at a checkpoint. We would get bored cause hardly anybody came cause of the curfew at night. It was about 2 in the morning when we saw this lady in black on the roof of somebody's house. Since it's Iraq, lots of women wear those black burqas, but this lady's burqa was long and flowing. We did not think anything of it, but then we saw it disappear into the shadows. We figured the lady went inside, but instead, we saw the lady walking in the alley. We did not know how she ran to the first floor, then outside so quickly. Then she disappeared again and reappeared on top of somebody else's roof. She did this for about 30 minutes and we were freaked out. Last I heard, she was still going back and forth, maybe looking for something. IDF guy here. Served for 4.5 years. Golani Battalion. Got some stupid shootout stories, but some extraordinary. Here is my last one. Be in Gaza, last conflict. Be doing usual drills in the type of conflict. Been 2 times in Gaza during major operations. Once in late 2008, and last one was this year. The IDF called the Germans, who had nothing to do with Hamas, to leave deeper into the major refugee camps. Hamas get pissed, telling people to stay put or they will be executed. It's a type of Hamas war tactics and propaganda, since they respect death and see life as just a corridor to heaven. Some people flee. Those who flee, sometimes being captured by Hamas. The father is giving a suicide bomb strapped to him and told to just keep on walking among refugees, women, children, old people, or their family will be shot. Be guarding roadway for wounded evacuation near Sagaya. Don't know how to write it in English, so fuck it. Be seeing crowd of refugees fleeing in our direction. Not good. Out of nowhere, a large explosion in the crowd. Human pieces everywhere. The stupid idiots pushed the button too soon. Can tell more stories if you wish. Be in Riam, Basel, a strong point in Mount Dove, Bear. It's located near the Lebanese border. This is what we Israelis refer to as Pumpkin Fortress, a type of strongpoint bunker that is underground due to the damage of mortars used by Hezbollah. The entire thing's sometimes underground and makes you feel really shit sometimes and lose your mind really quickly due to the boredom. Be one night, guarding as a fresh combat-trained soldier, looking at darkness for miles. Very green-thumbed. 2 hours in, about 2 a.m., and I get a call on the radio saying to stand sharp because one of the fence movement detectors is beeping. The unit who's responsible for checking infrared cameras can't see special movement, but the detectors go crazy like every couple of minutes. All the regiment is now up and ready. Time to fight. .jpg. Since I was the battalion commander radio boy at that time, once you finish basic training, you get sorted out for special training. I wanted to be a point marksman, but shit happens. I was on a first team to check in the fence as a signaler. We walked in quietly. As I told before, I was in Golani Brigade. The brigade is trained to fight in the north sector of Israel, Because Hezbollah is mainly fighting in guerrilla warfare, so we knew the code for this kind of situation. We set up an ambush about 300 meters from the fence, staring at it. See nothing in the night vision, yet they tell us the sensor is beeping. Be there until 5:40. Then we saw it. A fucking barn owl. I love those animals so much, yet this one kept the entire Northern Command on its feet. Pick related. It's the uniform tag of the unit who is watching the borders via cameras. This one is more personal to me. B 2.5 years later. B in central Gaza. I am still a signaler. B a radio boy of a Salt of the Earth men major, Elaraz. My God is a secret in Hebrew. Usual routine of patrolling the strip dividing Gaza from Israel. About 2-kilometer strip of flat land from our side of the fence. I was meant to be his radio boy that day. Felt sick all morning due to food poisoning. The unit medic tells me to lay down for a while. A guy named Elan is taking my place. About afternoon, they were in their usual patrol. A stupid motherfucker takes a Dragunov from a second-story window in the refugee camp. He shoots and misses, but bad luck strikes, and the ricochet bounces, hitting Elaraz in the grenade that he was holding. He was killed instantly. Ilan too. I guess I was lucky. Pick related. Elaraz on the left, Ilan on the right. R.I.P. brothers. Navy guy. Rover watch in a busted up barracks at a training command. Walk through a hatch to a ladder well right at midnight. Lights dim as we walk further down from third to first deck until it is pitch black. On first deck. This is pretty creepy. 3 doors. Fuck my life. Keycard won't open any. Door to ladder well is locked. Just radio in to quarter deck. Someone will come and get us from the other side. Radio static. Sleep deprived as fuck. Friend asks if I heard a noise. Look outdoor glass to the outside. See fat girl and Marine drill sergeant running. Turn to friend. Is that a drill instructor? Turn back to look a second later. No one to be seen. Dude, what the fuck? Card reader goes nuts, and door to black hallway opens. Power still out, mind you. Bail. Sprint down pitch black hallway with friend. Scratching noises in all locked rooms. Open door to quarter deck. Get chewed out by chief for double timing in uniform. Stops yelling and asks us if we saw a ghost. I don't know, chief. Chief smiles. You're relieved. Go back to your barracks across the street and get some sleep. Be me. Be in basic training. Be on CQ duty. Basically, a whole lot of cleaning. Shift is a few hours. There's a TV in the rec room area. Get to see Tyson bite off Holyfield's ear. Top cack. Drill sergeant on duty leaves to somewhere after a while. Turns off TV, most of the lights, leaves one on. Me and other private clean the rec room. Leave to clean bathrooms in company area. Do that, and come out to the company area again. All the lights and TV on, blaring loud. What the fuck? Turn everything off and go to clean commander's office. Come back to check on things. TV blaring and all the lights on again. Turn them all off. Look around for drill sergeant. Drill sergeant noped. Spend the rest of the shift assuming the drill sergeant is fucking with us. Brit Bong Air Force here. Current base is a pre-World War II base, bombed heavily by Nazis, lots of deaths, freaky sightings. The building I work in, half is new, half is the original building, put up in the 30s. Half of it was hit by a bomb. They simply rebuilt the damaged half. B sleeping in crew room with corporal. Sergeant sleeping in his office. 3 a.m. Hear heavy footing like footsteps outside in the corridor. Me and corporal lean out with a torch. See Sergeant poking his head out of his door. He sees us and says, "Haha, very funny guys." We reply, "No you, haha very funny." At this point, an almost roar-like sound echoes down the corridor and the heavy wooden door separating the two halves of the building slams shut. That door is fucking heavy. Heavy booming footsteps sprinting down the corridor towards us. Sergeant shouts, "Fuck that," and locks his office door. Me and Corporal fall over each other, scrabbling backwards away from the crew room door. Both hide in our sleeping bags like bitches. Never speak of it again to anybody. Okay, here's one when I was still in the army in Australia. B infantry on field exercise. On PK at 0300 to 0400. Just surveying the tree line. See something moving in the short grass. Be confused, as I know for a fact there were no enemies around. My old PL were playing enemy and were texting me when they went to bed. Get a slight picture of something. Some really long arms or legs. It was walking on 4 legs, or arms. Watch it move to a nearby tree. It slowly climbs up this tree, but not climb exactly, just stand up on 2 legs against the tree. It has not seen me, I don't think, as it is scanning the area. I don't think it knows what's going on. It goes back to all fours and starts to scurry toward a section of guys where they are sleeping. I shout the password, expecting it to scurry off. It just pops its head up and stares at me. I'm fucking terrified at this point. I was not even scared until it noticed me. I let off 3 rounds. It shrieks this terrible noise that wakes people up. I start yelling, "There's something over there," as people run to me to see what the fuck I'm doing. A few people see it, scurry off into the tree line. RLT gets a section of people with live rounds together to go find it. He calls into HQ, telling them there's an animal here harassing us. I have to describe it over the radio. I am told it is nothing. LT is told to stand down. LT knows I'm not lying. We both deployed to Afghan together. Makes us all pack our shit up and move positions. Did not sleep much for the rest of the exercise. Got back to base and had to explain to ROC what happened and why I should not be charged for UD. I got off but had to be psych tested, even though a few guys saw it. Was pretty bullshit, but I seriously think it was a skinwalker, even though I thought they were made up. But it is the only thing that is sort of close to what it looked like. 2004. Paktika Province, Eastern Afghanistan. My platoon is holding up in an ancient, 100-plus-year-old British fort. Looks like a classical castle wall with turrets in each corner. Have to pull guard in one turret one night. Around 3 a.m., start hearing blood-curdling scream. Initially, think it's nearby town, like Taliban delivering night letter and cutting some poor schlub up. Few minutes later, realize scream is coming from inside base. Think it could be someone snuck on base. Want to investigate, but cannot leave post. Eventually, sergeant on guard comes by. Tells me it was guy in other guard tower who happened to be my NCO. Had a panic attack of some sort. Next day, I find him in the rest area. He is pale white, staring blankly into space, can barely talk. Tries to tell me that he saw a ghost. Not just any ghost, but a real, legit, actual ghost in his guard tower. Former inhabitants of fort. Think he might be bullshitting or hallucinating, but he's far too mentally disturbed to pull off a stunt like this, and he's definitely not a good enough actor to make it up. Whatever he saw, it scared him into a catatonic state. Gets medevaced back to Organ E next day. Never see him again. I don't know what the fuck he saw, but getting the fuck out of that fort was the happiest day of my life.